Well, hello everyone. This is Andrew McKee with Fair Life, and I think my throat is almost done being hoarse from the weekend because I just finished a 3-day weekend at the Sherwood Forest Fair, and well, we talked a little bit about it last week, but 3-day weekends are nothing to sneeze about. They can be tough. They can be very tough, but no, I think it was a really good weekend, and I had a great time. And hey, Damaris and Kurt and Bethany and Katsurita and Gwendolyn. Yeah, it was a really good weekend, and that's always the thing that I think whether you're a patron or a performer or anything relating to the fair in general hope for, and that's that you have great weather and it's just a pleasant experience. And we had huge crowds there. Let's see, gosh, we had a surprisingly lot of people on the Friday, which is not normal. This was the biggest Friday I think they've ever had, and yeah, also that was a really good Saturday too. Nearly a record. About 12,000 people showed up. But on Sunday, it was a little lighter, which honestly, on the third day, I was okay with. I'm not gonna lie, I was okay with that. But you try, you do your best. And hey, Kathy, great to see you too. So yeah, I'm yeah, I slept in a definitely slept in as late as I possibly could this morning. So I know everybody can't do that, and I really feel for them. A lot of the cast and people on there have day jobs, and they can't do it. So they wake up early at 7 a.m. or something on a Monday, and I just can't even imagine what it would be like after a 3-day weekend. Really glad I don't have to do that. And hey, Janine, great to see you too. Yeah, it was definitely a pretty cool fair weekend. I mean, it was chilly in the morning and the evening, but the day was very good, and it's hard to ask for more than that. So very happy with the weekend. Yeah, let's see, I got to see. Let's see, I saw, of course, Jan and Jem. They often come by the fair, and then Sarit. I got to see Sarit, so that was really cool. She was there, and uh, I didn't get to talk to her for very long because I had to go to the next show. But and I'm sorry about that. But it was very cool. So yeah, I that's always part of the problem with fair for me because my schedule is so intense and so crazy that I don't get much downtime to just hang and talk with people. And I always feel bad about that, but at the same time, I know I'm doing a lot of stuff throughout the day that is helping a lot of the cast with some of their events, and also I do have a lot of stage shows, so I really can't complain too much. Um, and oh yeah, and Andrew Benson from over on YouTube is still managed to overheat on Saturday. Yeah, I mean that's one of the things we aren't. You're not really used to that level of heat. We've kind of in the off season of it's been pretty cool in Austin, in the Austin area for several months. So it did get up into those upper 70s a little bit. So it was a little challenging. My trick is I always try to stay out of the sun as much as humanly possible. It's not always the doable thing, but I any chance I get, shade immediately. Oh, you want to talk for a second? Here, there's a tree right over there, shade. That's how I approach it every time. I really try to stay out of the sun, and and some weekends I'm more successful than others. It depends on where my shows are. But yeah, I wanted to go ahead and show a little bit of let's see, just a little bit of what it's like. Yeah, here you go. You got the whole group of us playing at the front gate right after the cannon goes off and people are starting to enter. And I thought this was a pretty good picture to kind of show some of it. And we jam and play some medieval tunes that people can hear and enjoy, and it's a lot of fun and great musicians to play with. And I think that's from the second weekend or the first. I'm one of those, and then yeah, every morning I try to take a morning selfie, just kind of say hey, and right before the cannon goes off. So we're all kind of backstage at that point, and we just get to hang out and have a great time. So everybody is, well, you can tell they're all goofballs. So it is a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Um, I did kind of want to mention something that I found kind of interesting, and this is that it was exactly 2 years ago that Life's Affair had our first broadcast. So yeah, I mean, at Sherwood, um, they we got the word on Monday that that was the last weekend, and that and they were closing down for COVID and all of that, and we were just like, oh, son of a, and we were yeah just talking to all the other performers and musicians, and we were talking about maybe um, doing Life's Affair anyway, but we just accelerated everything and jumped on it, and from that Monday night, Tuesday morning decision, uh, we did a broadcast that Saturday afternoon on March 21st. So, yeah, I mean, here, let's see, I think I have that. Here we go. From my living room with some of the performers from the fair. And you'll see the Bedlam Bards and Vince Conway and the Rambling Sailors and Alan Adale. And we just that was 2 years ago today. So Life's Affair has been around for exactly 2 years, and it's still kind of shocking, and all that we've been able to accomplish and do in that time. And yeah, I mean, we're talking about in about 4.5 days. I managed to get all the hardware and tech going, and we got all the promotional online stuff going, and we just made it work. I mean, I built a server and set it up to split the stream to go to both YouTube and Facebook, and yeah, um, just figured out exactly how to stream. I was going to the last second. I mean, I was on my laptop getting everything ready right in front of where this video was taken, and just they even while the video was on, I was still tweaking and trying to make sure everything was up and going, and we got it, and I'm very proud, and I'm really thankful to all of them for joining in and being a part of that, because it was such a huge thing. And thanks, Katsurita and Kurt and yeah, it's that was really just phenomenal. And I still actually, just the last few weeks at Sherwood, I was hearing people say that how much they appreciated all of that, especially back in 2020 when we were putting up videos every week and people felt like things aren't happening physically at fairs, but they still could be a part of fair, and they were really appreciative. So I'm still get compliments on that, and thanks, and it means a lot, because I won't lie and say that I wasn't pulling, 15, 16, sometimes 18-hour days to try to get some of this to work, especially early on, to try to figure it out and make it better. And then it was about a month after that, in around what was it, April 21st? I think it was around then. Yeah, it was about then that I did the first pseudo Fairlife episode, and yeah, you can see, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the video quality and the lighting is a little better now than it was then. Just throwing it out. I might be biased, but I think it's a little better. I'm just saying a little, Yeah, yeah. I think it's a little better. Uh, but yeah, that is from that video. Yeah, I did. I did get a new camera, and are you just trying to egg me on to talk about the camera? That's what you're doing? I knew what you're doing. Yes, yes. But no, it was, yeah, it's been a learning process. Oh, well, yeah, I mean, it's actually the same style of hat, just a different color, but blue is, yeah, I think I agree. The hat is definitely an improvement, but and that's the thing. It's always tweaks, always trying to make it better, trying to make it better. And I totally agree, Andrew, yeah, growing pains. And that's the thing. I'm still pleased. That was a very generic 720p Logitech webcam camera. And I tweaked it a bit to make it look that good. So it was, yeah, I mean, it wasn't a high-end camera by any means, even a high-end webcam. So, yeah, but you can see kind of what kind of difference it makes. And yeah, I'm just so thrilled that it's been going as well as it did. This Fair Life, some of you may remember, and oh, thank you, Bethany. I appreciate that. I had never thought of that before. What a happy coincidence. I would have gotten this on purpose if I, yeah, no, I actually thought that was planned, I admit. But yeah, the whole concept of Fairlife stemmed from a test because about a month after the whole COVID thing started, there were some other groups online that were putting fair videos up, and doing that, and they kept complaining about video problems, audio problems, issues, and they kept blaming Facebook and saying, "Oh, it's a Facebook problem." And I'm just like, I don't know. And they canceled a show on that day, and so I just said, okay, let's do a test because if this is going to be a problem for us, we need to know. So this was actually just a connection test that I did, and I tried some music. I played guitar and played recorder a little bit just to kind of get a feel for what it kind of if there were any problems, if there were any audio delays or pixelization or anything, and didn't have a problem. So it wasn't Facebook. It's just growing pains, sort of like what Andrew said. It was just growing pains. People still trying to figure out and struggling with tough bandwidth problems with their internet service provider. So yeah, luckily I have a good internet connection, so I didn't have to worry about that. And the response to that video was so, positive. Kind of thought, well, maybe we should do this as a weekly thing and just talk about stuff that's going on with me and Fair and just interesting things that pop up. So from then on, it became a weekly thing. And there have been a few times I've had to skip because I was on the road or there was a technical problem or whatever, but it was very rare. I've managed to keep it going for most of the 2 years. So yeah, and I totally agree, Damaris. I'm so pleased with how far I have come from this. It's just wow, wow. And of course now, I mean, the last week some other interesting things happened. For those of you who followed Life's Affair for the last couple of years, you might remember we've done a few video things with Paulo Garbanzo and his Nat 21 adventures. And last week had the Nat 21 people. A lot of them were there at Sherwood, and they were saying, "Hey, the internet connection here is a little rough for uploading that much video." And I'd told them before in the past, "Hey, if you ever need to use the internet connection, come on by." So they did, and so we had a quick little. Yeah, here you go. There's a there's video of that has them. This is my living room. So again, that they're out there, all four of them uploading video at the same time, and I was so set them all up and got them online, and they recorded their stream, and and for those of you who don't know, Nat 21 Adventures is pretty much just a gaming group. They online, so you get to watch and enjoy them having fun, and there's some interaction too, where you can kind of, as a viewer, can participate in the game some. And they mostly do it on Twitch now, I believe, but they'll post some of the stuff afterwards on YouTube and things like that, and maybe Facebook too. But yeah, it's just kind of interesting. And they came by, and let's see, yeah, I got a shot from above in my living room. It's a very high roof in my living room. So yeah, got that, and I kind of like the setup. It was a lot of fun. And yes. Oh, and I should state that too. That yeah, I'm going to be on the show. That they were talking to me before about that during Sherwood, but I'm going to be on in a few weeks, I think. So yeah, I'll be on there again. So I'll make sure to let you know when that happens. So if you want, you can check it out, and I'll probably have some video and stuff that I'll show on here just to kind of show off, because sometimes you have to. But yeah, but the group is all they're really cool. I mean, you've got several different performers that you may or may not be familiar with, but yeah, and and Janine's saying that the switching to Twitch made it harder, and that can be a problem. I mean, Twitch is a little cut off from just easy viewing, but you can just go to the page and watch it. Just go to their Twitch page and just see it on your phone or on your computer. but it is a little more difficult. It is not quite as, if you're familiar with Facebook, it is a little different. So, um, and yeah, yes, and Crystal, yes, I am recovering as well, so I completely understand. Um, oh, right. Yes. I'll go back and you can see that. You can see where the green light is at the bottom of the image, and that's where the green comes in. So yeah, it does make it look ominous. We tried to make everybody's background in there look very different. And I think we succeeded. So even when they're all on the screen at the same time on their channel, it really looked. Yeah, they looked like they were in different places, and I was so pleased about that. Um, oh, your internet connection doesn't like Twitch. Interesting. Interesting. Well, that there are always problems with that. It can be an issue. So that is true. Well, let's see. Before it gets too late, let's jump on the what we have for fairs coming up this weekend, because that is always fun. Let's see. We have yeah, we have a few fairs still going on. It's going to get a lot crazier once we kind of hit April. That's kind of when fairs really start going nuts because the weather is a lot more forgiving in the northern states, and you'll see that a lot of them are more in the south because of that. But yeah, but yes, it is something to check out. So let's check the full map here and say, okay, well, starting in the east, we have still one more fair going on in Florida. That's the Bay Area Renaissance Festival in Dade City, Florida. And then moving on over to Texas, I already told you a little bit about it, but the Sherwood Forest Fair in McDade, Texas, just east of Austin. Then we can go up to New Mexico, which Edgewood, New Mexico specifically, where the New Mexico Renaissance Celtic Festival, because you can't just do Renaissance, you need to make it a Celtic festival too. But but you do what you can. You do what you can. Um, and let's see. Then you go to Arizona with the Arizona Renaissance Festival, and Apache Junction is finishing up. That's going to end soon. And then we have in Nevada, North Las Vegas, in Nevada, the Pirate Fest Las Vegas is what it's called. And that is yeah, I don't normally throw Pirate Fests too much in here, but if there's a lot of other stuff, I'll leave them out. But when there's not much going on, I'll throw those in too, because hey, you do what you can. So yeah, not too much going on, and but there are a few in the south, and if you can get down there, check them out, because a lot of those are going to be ending soon, and then you're going to get the late spring fairs are going to go crazy and explode. You're going to see a lot of them around the country. So, oh, and Drew, you're feeling a little left out from Sherwood Forest Fair. Well, yeah. I mean, you really could do that. It's not that far from Houston, really. It's east of Austin, so it's only, wow. It depends on where you are in Houston, but around 2 hours from Houston. Maybe a little less if you're in West Houston. So it's not too bad. So yeah, just something to check out, something to think about. But at the very least, you should visit. I mean, come on out. It's a great little fair. And actually, I don't even know if I can call it little anymore, especially after the crowds we had last weekend. I think it's after that 10-year kind of cutoff, and it's getting good crowds. It's really kind of solidified as a staple in the area before Scarborough hits Scarborough Fair up near Dallas. So I think it might be time to kind of call this a medium-sized fair, to be honest. It's not anything near a tent fair. So, yeah, 125 miles. And that's, yeah, a couple hours. It's not bad. It's really not. And it's right off of Highway 290 in Texas, so it's not like it's really that far off the beaten track. Some of those, you have to go on a lot of back roads to get to, and it can be a bit of a challenge, especially if you've got thousands of people going to it. This doesn't really have that problem. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I think part of it is, I think part of the reason why there's been a lot more people is it's post-COVID kind of. I mean, it's still some stuff going on, don't get me wrong, But I mean, generally, a lot of the rules have lessened, and people feel like they can go out now. And it's people have been starving for entertainment for the last couple of years, so I think it's getting a little bit of that. Um, and it's also, uh, I think it's also the publicity. They do a very good job with a lot of grassroots efforts. I mean, they throw that they have a lot of the cast just take out little flyers and put them up in restaurants and all over Austin and the surrounding area. It's down in San Antonio and up in other cities too, and really just they really are aggressive with it. They always have been, but I think sometimes that just pays off. They've also do billboards and really go out a lot more than the average small fair does. So when they were doing that early on, I think it gradually just helped. More people saw it, more people saw it. And eventually you get to that point where so many people are telling their friends and it really grows. And I think they've kind of hit that. You kind of hit those. Um, oh, wow. 3.5 hours. Yeah, that's starting to push it every weekend. But I mean, if you're staying for the whole weekend and camping, that's not bad. For a day trip, that might be a little rough. Not gonna lie. But for a weekend, definitely doable. Definitely doable. And yeah, I think it's worth it too. But yeah, yeah. Um, Generally, I think that's one of the things I've noticed too. Some people don't wear masks, some people do, and like a couple of years ago, there was some harassment about it. Even last year there was, but here I haven't really seen or heard of any. People seem really okay with it, whether you wear them or not. It's they kind of are okay with it. Yeah, and I totally agree with you, Andrew, that the pricing, location, the way they handled COVID last year, I think they've done a lot of things right, even from year one. And pricing is, yeah, very good, especially considering some of the stuff I mentioned a few weeks ago with TRF's pricing and how they've kind of done that. Um, it is a lot. It's pretty simple with Sherwood, and yeah, very, very patron friendly. Um, oh, really? Oh, really? You're getting ads in your game? I know they do a lot online, but I really haven't seen them in games or anything. I've seen them on Facebook and that kind of thing. But yeah, that's really awesome. That is great that you're getting that there. Maybe they've really upped their game and are more aggressive than they used to be in the past. And I wouldn't put it past them. They are very savvy with that. Very savvy. Oh, Facebook doesn't work for you to watch the show. Okay. Well, that's I'm glad YouTube is working for you. That's why I split it. That's why from the first time we did a show, I was adamant about I didn't want to just be on Facebook because I knew people that didn't use Facebook, and I didn't want to just be on YouTube because promotion would be a little harder initially. So I wanted to find something that would work for everybody, and I also one of my gripes with Facebook is unless you are a gamer and you set yourself up for a enhanced package, you really are limited to 720p. And the video is okay for stuff like this, but YouTube will let you go up to full 1080p, and I kind of like that too. So I was very adamant early on to just have both. Um, so yeah, that was always been the goal. So I'm glad that that's worked for you to kind of be able to go to both. I like having that options. And from what some of the things that y'all have told me in the past, that some of you put the YouTube channel on your TV or whatever, and then you log into Facebook on your phone and you do the chat from that because you get the better quality. You get that better quality on YouTube. Um, yes, and thank you, Andrew. That's yeah, yeah. I understand. I understand. And yeah, and Janine, you're right. Since you have some internet issues, going 720p is a little easier. Uh, Now, some interesting stuff I'm working on now, tweaking it so that the bit rate can be a bit less and still look as good. That's something I'm currently checking out and messing with, so it might even be a little easier. Because initially, the bit rate I send out is actually pretty high, and that might be making it a little rough. But the YouTube bit rate is not twice as much as Facebook, but yeah, Facebook probably is about two-thirds of the bit rate I send to YouTube, roughly. So yeah, it is a noticeable difference. So yeah, that can be good. And later when you rewatch it, you have a lot of different options, and they have re-encoded it. But initially, you're stuck with the stream I send you. So I'm trying to tweak it a little, so yeah, it'll be a little less and easier on you. So we'll see, we'll see. Oh gosh, yeah, we're almost. Time is like ticking like crazy. I need to get to 7 reasons, don't I? Or Kristen might stop talking to me since she's the major voice about 7 reasons. And for those of you that don't know, she is Maid Marian at Sherwood. That's right. I remember when she started cast, and I remember when she was going as a patron, and now she's Maid Marian at Sherwood Forest Fair. It's crazy. And she's doing a great job too. So congrats to her. So if she might be watching this later because of all the craziness this past weekend, but yeah, just good for you. So let's do 7 reasons. Now for 7 reasons, I was trying to and Janine's saying that she hasn't had internet problems fairly. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Thanks for that feedback, because but I'm still trying to tweak it and make it better for everybody. That's always been my goal. My goal is to make it as easy, convenient, high quality as I can for you, above all other things, regardless of me trying to market it it's always been the quality has been the first rule for me. So thank you. So yeah, let's see, 7 reasons. I was trying to think of a good 7 reasons for this week, and I was talking with Alan Adale there at Faire the other day, and we were talking about some of the food that they have at different fairs, and I thought, I've mentioned the whole and some anachronisms at Faire before, and sometimes they bother me, and I mentioned the whole turkey leg aspect and how that's an anachronism on this show, I think last year at one point. But generally food anachronisms don't bother me too much at Faire. So I thought, let's do 7 reasons food anachronisms at Faire don't always bother me. Sometimes they do, but generally they do not. So let's start with that. So number 7, medieval food. I mean, let's just be honest. If you're eating regular medieval food, it's gonna be pretty bland. I mean, that's what peasant food really was back then. Renaissance food too. But if you're eating like a king did, okay, might be a little better. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think there's a ton of variety there. And I mean, there is. I know some people are going to be like, no, there's tons of. There is. For back then, there's a lot of variety, a lot more than you'd think. But compared to what we have now, I don't think there's near as much variety. And so, yeah, I think that's a big deal. Number 6, modern diets. That's going to be a thing because you're kind of limited to certain types of food pretty quickly, certain vegetables, certain meats, whatever, if you're going pure authentic. And I think that's, whether you want to go gluten-free or you're vegetarian or vegan, or, I mean, I think you could possibly try to work that in with a medieval menu, but it's a lot more difficult. So yeah, I think being able to go to a shop or to a vendor at a fair and say, hey, I'm allergic to this, and to be able to take care of that easily is not, or at least easier, is a good thing. So, yes, and okay, good. It's nice to have that feedback. Yeah, overspiced or very bland. So yeah, I mean, I do think it's important to have some authentic food there, and I wish fairs did more of that, honestly. But having variety is not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. So just saying. So number 5, the economics. Food prices at Faire, let's just be honest, they're already pretty high. I mean, like it's like any sporting event or anything. I mean, that's the food prices are usually a little high anyway. But I don't want to say anything negative about Faire in that regard, because it's expensive to do that. It's expensive to set up a kitchen and to get all of that taken care of. And they have to average it all out from the really bad days and the really good days, and get those numbers together. And the prices, they're probably pretty justified. But if you had to make those really special meals like that in bulk, I think it might even be more expensive. So yeah, that would worry me. I think having those other alternatives that are, especially some low cost alternatives um, for people that can't afford some of those prices, or performers that need food and they're not rolling in money. I've been there. I've been both, where I was a patron and I couldn't afford much, and trying to find where those spots were for reasonably priced food, and they usually have them at fairs, so it's always good to have that. Um, and yeah, that's what I was just saying, Crystal. Yeah, you can still eat for reasonable price if you know where to go, and that's the trick. That is the trick. Um, yeah, right. Yes, some of those spices that were imported in from the East back in the day that only the rich could afford, well, they're not really cheap now either, some of them. So yeah, you're right. Um, and yeah, and that's kind of it. And um, yeah. If you work at fair, you start to find that. But as a patron, it can be a little more difficult. So you kind of you kind of have to either have gone for several years and start to find those spots, or have friends that have gone for several years and you can ask. Yeah, I mean, but usually they fairs do try to have those lower cost items that will still fill you up, because they realize people need that. So yeah, number 4, kettle corn is just so tasty. I'm just saying, because they the Fae out at Sherwood, I play some music for one of their events, and always been fun. And they gave me a bunch of kettle corn afterwards. It's sort of like, we have extra kettle corn here, and I'm like, okay, and it was so good. And I'm just kind of yeah, they treats like that, they're just so good, and it's a nice treat. So I'm gonna say, yeah, Crystal is not wrong. Yeah, so yeah, that's it. It's just good. So it's hard for me to say no, take away that. I don't want to. Really don't want to. I don't want to be the person responsible for taking that away. I would feel bad. So yes, no, that's number 4. Number 3, a different climate, because think about what England was like 1,000 years ago in March, versus what Central Texas is like now in March. Yeah, all of that hot food. Sometimes, how do I put this? You just want something cold. Sometimes that ice cream is nice. Sometimes something like that is really, you want that. You want that kind of iced beverage, and even though it's not authentic, it is appreciated. So yeah, I think you kind of have to go with the climate a little bit. Yeah. Oh yeah, when it's fresh, it is very, very good. Um, and hey, I think everybody deserves the right to be burned out on kettle corn. So that's my point with number 4 still. Okay, number 2. Number 2. People want to feed their fantasy. I mean, okay, pardon the pun, but people have this vision of the Renaissance and Henry VIII eating this big mutton leg, and that is a stereotype. It was perpetuated in artwork and movies and commercials in the last 100 years. Definitely accurate, no, but that's how people envision it, and that they want that experience. So I'm kind of like, I get it. I mean, you want to feel like you have this fantasy of this is what it was kind of like, or maybe, roughing it is eating meat on the bone without any type of utensil, and I get it. But accurate, maybe not. Fun, maybe. So I get that. I get that. Um, right. Okay. Yeah. And so ingredients can be a factor too. I totally agree with that. And right. And I didn't even bring that up, because everything tastes better on a stick. I've had long, serious discussions with several different performers over the years about why it is that everything seems to taste better on a stick. It's an interesting question, I think, that deserves some more study. Definitely, definitely. Oh yeah. Oh, right. And yeah, and that's another part of it. You're not wrong. Actually, that should be like a to be option. No Shakespeare pun intended with that. It's yeah. I mean, it is. American palates are very different than the British, by far. And while authentic can be nice, I mean, there's a reason we have actually fleshy toilets at some of these locations, or at least porta potties, so that we don't want it that authentic. You know what I mean? Yeah. Right, and totally right. That markup and fried bananas. Oh, totally good. So yes. Okay, and the number one reason why food anachronisms at Faire do not always bother me. Number one is it's a fair. I mean, Faire started in the 1960s and really got going like gangbusters in the 70s and just kept growing from there. And the American populace, the closest thing they could associate that to is like a state fair or holiday event, like a July the 4th celebration or something. And, they expected to have those big corn on the cobs and, those slices of cake and all of these things that you would think would be there at that type of event. And without them, I mean, they're trying to get people there. So I think it's an interesting balance of getting people there and teaching them some things about the history, getting them involved so that they're interested, but also making them enjoy the experience. And that's the balance. So yeah, you just have to remember that it is a fair. So, make it a fair that Americans are used to. And talking about America, I mean, you can say that about a lot of the west of the British Isles, but it is a very different view of how it works. America is still a very young country compared to Europe, and that tradition-wise, we're not even close. So we're still working on that, even now, I think. Let's see. Oh yeah, you're right. Maryland Renaissance, steak on a stick, fried macaroni, cheese on a stick. Yeah, and it's common. Ooh, yeah. Really, they wouldn't try lamb? Well, interesting. Yeah, I mean, some of the foods I've tried over the years, lamb doesn't seem bad at all. Oh, right. Yeah, frozen chocolate covered banana on a stick. Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, definitely. Um, yes. That's kind of the point I'm making. There's a lot there that's quite interesting. Now you want roasted corn. Hey, I mean, there's still what you want for dinner is up to you. Uh, right? Right? Sometimes you want a piece of chicken wrapped in beef, wrapped in bacon, wrapped in sausage, wrapped in beef. I mean, you want an ogreto. You want that, is what those are called. So yes, very good. But yeah, anyway, that's my 7 reasons. Hope you liked that. That was fun. But yeah. So yes, I'm for those of you wondering, yes, I'm doing fine with the weather. That hasn't really seemed to be too much of a problem here in Austin. I know they were worried about some serious storms, but it hasn't been an issue. I hope all of you are doing fine. And hopefully next weekend at Faire will be great for us and for everybody else who's going to Faire. Because that is always the hope, is good weather. Kind of like sailors in that regard, I guess. But yes. So thank you very much for joining me for another episode of Faire Life. I always enjoy it. And have a good week and enjoy your time. And I hope you get to go to a fair soon if you haven't been recently. So if you haven't or you can't, well, I hope this at least gives you a taste. So enjoy your week, and whenever possible, always have a fair life. Take care.